causes of building collapse in Nigeria. It keeps happening every year. Before I checked the one I wrote 2007 September 28th, we discuss about that. From my own experience, one of the major causes is not willing to pay professionals. When you are not paying professionals, you end up looking for alternatives, and the alternatives will always give you the the results we are seeing all over the place. And I too know I've done it before, not minding that the circumstances is quite different. The situation in one place is different from the other side. The stability of the land in one side is different from the other side. The design of the building is different from the one you have at the other side. So, but before we go, my name is Omion Emmanuel. I'm an architect. I own building construction contractorsecrets.com. It's a blog that teaches on building construction, gives you building construction tips. There's a recent report of 7-story building collapse in Banana Island. You can imagine to buy land in Banana Island and things like this happens again. The plot will be seized by the government. The money, the life wasted, all because most of these buildings that collapse in Lagos, they are easy, they are cheap buildings. They are not extraordinary buildings. I mean, look at Burj Khalifa. It's still standing now. The tallest building in the world. So, you see, when we value money more than our lives, more than anything else, these are the results you keep seeing. Now, let's go to my articles since 2007, September 28th. Causes of building collapse. Collapse of building is not new to Nigeria, neither is it only peculiar to Nigeria. However, that will not stop us from taking critical look at the situation and finding a solution to it, if they agree. Collapse of building, though, can happen to any kind of building, but the casualty of multi-story buildings can be so terrible, which is true. The collapse of story buildings in Nigeria, especially in Lagos, usually goes along with it attending casualties, which can be more than 20. But what really motivates multi-story buildings? Multi-story buildings are either built because of social status. There are places you get to and all what you see are very high buildings, so you don't want yours to be unnoticeable among them. Commercial viability of a location also make more people to build story structure in an area because more people will just look for space to exhibit or get contact with their customers or clients. Area accessibility. Some locations are routes to a lot of places, so high vehicular and human travel is usually associated with such places, hence more commercial activities. So why the peculiarity of big cities like Port Harcourt and Lagos and Kano? You will see that the criteria above one way or the other affect these two cities, which is the truth, because people are jostling for the same space that is no longer available. So you have to go up. There's always a tendency of man habiting very close to water because of the opportunity of controlling the waterways, which can give opportunity for intertrade between nations. There's water in Lagos, there's water in Port Harcourt. Lagos and Port Harcourt have so much prominence today because of their nearness to water. Their closeness to water naturally gave room for shipping ports in these areas. Shipping ports, in turn, promotes commercial activities, and commercial activities naturally generate heavy human traffic, and human being requires shelter for himself. It's not for every place where you have water. Bayelsa is one place that there's water too, but we are looking at where you have government activities. So there are ports, there are ship that comes in and bring in goods. So before you know, you have cluster of people gathering around the area, and the area will always be fertile too as well for agricultural purposes when you have water close to the area. Human being requires shelter for himself, his goods and services. So building springs up in these places and that brings competition for very few available spaces. Hence, to meet demand, designers and building constructors will have to settle for multi-story building because of increasing unending economic value of these places. That is why in Lagos Island or Isaleko, Port Harcourt and other areas where ships can bet, there will always be influx of people and buildings will keep springing up due to this. Political activities or decision is also a factor that have contributed in making these cities bigger. Also, availability of natural and human resources is important. Natural resources have also contributed to the growth of some towns in Nigeria. Now, the soil in these areas are sandy and loose soil. They are not strong or compacted soils. Hence, the requirement of building construction professionals are usually high here. For most of these buildings, they dig long and strong piles foundations. However, few still collapses. Most houses of 3, 4 story buildings in Lagos Island are best good for, I wrote 15 then, but let's say 50 years. Remember, the land themselves are not strong, and people build on this land using templates used for better and more compacted land. You see, this is where the problem is. I have built this type of building before. Where you built before will be different from where you are building now. So what causes the collapse of these houses or building? The first problem is boycotting the professionals. That's what I have here. This issue has been overflowed both in print media and electronic media, but the same problem still persists. There's also a problem of egg-edged professionals that believe they know all and are not ready to take advice from a colleague. There are known cases like that has turned awry. The big buildings that are collapsing in Lagos business district were handled by professionals. Now, you can employ a professional. What if you don't listen to the professional's advice? It's as good as you don't have a professional. You can have a professional and you refuse to pay the professional, so you are playing smart. Person will just look at you and come to decide anytime he feels like or anytime he's free. Everybody needs money, and he went to the university, to higher institution, I mean, to study. He paid his way through to become what he is. So when you boycott the professionals, you are going to have issues. That's just the fact. Contractors cutting corners. Contractors trying to make gains at the expense and lives of the users of the building is another problem that have to be tackled. There should be a share from policymakers to make sure specification is thoroughly followed by contract. You see, this one is the major problem, if I may put it that way. Not just contractors, developer, owners of building. For God's sake, a building is designed to carry 3 floors. But because you discover the place you can make so much money, so much money available now, you are taking it up. Something that it was not originally designed for. But when your engineer is telling you, this thing cannot be done, what I find out is that from most of the people that are developers in Lagos, because of greed, they will go and look for other professionals. And the other professional they will look for maybe is an hungry professional. Or you just say, oh, I'm an engineer, don't worry, go ahead, there's no problem. Or I will redesign something. He will redesign the thing for you, but you will not still pay him to come and monitor the reinforcements of the building. So you are going to be having this problem and you lose all your money. And you lose, if you are not losing your life, if you are not, losing your peace. Human activities on building. Well, that one is much insignificant. As insignificant human weight may seem to be, the moving up and down the live load and dead load contribute over time in no small measure wearing down the building. It will take long time though, but houses also expires and case of the type of building we have in Nigeria, their lifespan is shorter than others in civilized world, which is the truth. Houses expire except you are maintaining them. So if you are using a house, probably the house you have some machines there. There's always something is always vibrating. It adds. I mean, the house it has how will I it reduces the lifespan of the building. There are a lot of ways you use the house and the lifespan reduces. So even when you abandon a house too, it can also affect the house one way or the other. So though this one is insignificant, the major one is this idea of greed from the builder, not using adequate materials, adequate facilities, inadequate foundation. You understand? Inadequate foundation, this is the most power part of a building. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not giving adequate monitoring to this and it's causing more problem. A registered structural engineer is very important to you if you are planning on building a strong and solid multi-story building. Aging building. Many do not know that buildings also have their lifespan. Most of the buildings in Lagos Mainland are spent over 50 years and above. Despite that, they are of shallow foundation and very low quality material used for them. As you lay your bed, so you lie on it. If you had used low quality material, thereby thinking you cut cost, they also expect to pack out of that building very soon. Now, you see, building status. If you don't have a good foundation, let's assume they tell you do a soil test. You didn't do a soil test. They recommend pipe foundation for you. Pipe foundation is just like saying a nail. Let's say that nail is concrete now, that is being bored to the ground to meet up a solid strata, to meet up a solid level or a solid sharp sand. So if you now have a pipe foundation, but you are unable to get to where you have the solid ground, do you know what happened? That weight of that concrete or of that nail will pull your building downward because it needs to go and settle in a land, you understand, that can resist the weight. So let's say your concrete is like this. This is where the sharp sand or the land is the strong strata is. It will now pull your building down until you get to this level. What happened? It's either your building is like this or it totally collapse. I won't tell you lie. If you want to do a multi-story building, for God's sake, somewhere like Ikoyi, for instance, somewhere like Banana Island, you have the money. Why not take your time and build and just follow the right thing, do the right thing? You are not taking this money to heaven. Do soil tests, get professionals to design for you, follow strictly. You are not building bungalow or one-story building in Ipaja or wherever that have solid soil. I live in Ipaja, so you can imagine here, I can close my eye and build here without much stress because the soil here is quite okay. But in waterlogged areas, you have to be more careful, and there are a lot of design. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from getting ideas from as much people as possible, but the moment they say this is designed for so, don't try to change it. What you just need to change is should be few. It should be something that is insignificant to the structural integrity of the building. Also, write your own comments. Causes of building collapse in Nigeria, especially. Remember to like, share, also subscribe to this channel. More are still on the way. Thank you.